Damon Khan here for Seconds Out with Misfits Boxing promoter Kalle Sauerland. Kalle, good to see you in Newcastle. You must be an honorary Geordie by these days, putting on events like this.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Do you know what? It's funny. When I landed here today, I'm thinking, like, how many times have we been in Newcastle in the last 3 years? It's got to be, I don't know, with Misfits, obviously, Josh Kelly up here quite a few times. We must have done a zone show up here, traditional boxing. We've done a couple of Channel 5 shows up here. We've done Misfits. I think we've been up here 7-8 times the last couple of years. So we are definitely new. The North East, we've been Sunderland as well, don't forget. So I've got to say the North East's, premier promoters, fantastic.
Talk me through the card this weekend and bringing back the tournament concept as well too in the State Pro tournament. What can we expect from the viewing this weekend?
I think, you've got to look at, SecondsOut is a mostly traditional outlet. So I think Elbrook will be the first Misfits champion to cross over. So to fight a top pro, world champion pro, and win a traditional pro belt as well. There's, talk about Ebony Bridges. It's a cracking fight. I don't know where the weights are at on that. It's just someone mentioned me that before, and I thought that's a cracking fight. But she's phenomenal. Mark Tibbs done a great job with her. Natural punching power. Went to America. Real great sort of Rocky-esque story. Gone to America for Paige VanZant, UFC legend, Strictly Come Dancing star in the States, massive name, and done a job on her. Dropped her and got points decision, did really well. And I think she comes through this weekend. We'll start looking at the traditional world and how we can bring her over. I think the State Pro tournament, it's got some real characters in Idris Virgo, obviously, but I think Chris Avila with Nate Diaz in town as well. If you haven't watched Chris Avila box, he's actually a really interesting boxer to watch, especially on the inside. You can tell he comes out of a sort of MMA fighting gym, obviously with Nate Diaz, one of the best in the world, but his technical fighting on the inside is really different and really effective. So that's if you don't know, it's a sort of prize fighter format of semi-finals and the final tomorrow night here in Newcastle, live on DAZN, of course, as always. And I think that's a cracker. And there's another female championship on there and stack up, I think 8-9 fights. So yeah, great entertainment.
You mentioned that Nate Diaz was in tow. I just wonder, even if it's brief, have you floated the idea of him getting into a Misfits boxing ring in the future? A possibility of a fight maybe with KSI?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, Nate's been at a few Misfits events before, some quite publicly. He does serious numbers. He's a massive name, especially in the States in that space. So yeah, for sure. We get on very well with his management. And can I see him on Misfits? Absolutely.
Against KSI, would that be the prime opponent?
I think the name that floats at the moment is HS Tiki Toki. KSI, yeah. I mean, it's one to throw in the hat. I guess I don't know. It's a huge American name, of course. I don't know if it's something that JJ always has. JJ's got to have the feel that that's a big event. There's some other names we're talking about at the moment. Amir Khan is a cracker. Obviously, some other ones bandied around as well. But, we're working on that at the moment.
Kalle, I've seen that you're working also on the next show for Harlem You Back October. Opponent as well announced as well too. It wasn't going to be, or not going to be for now, Adam Azim. Could that be revisited in the future? And talk about the new fight that's announced for Harlem.
Well, you can start those talks now. I mean, Adam Azim's now got, I think, quite a tough fight in this Ahara Davis fight. I think Ahara Davis, if the good Ahara Davis turns up, it's going to be a very tough night. I think Harlem's got a tough night. At the same time, for us, we called it back to business because that's exactly what it is. I'm looking forward to return to Bolton with that fight, and then next year we're going to be taking him to the city of Brighton again. I think that there's so many interesting fights out there for Harlem, whether it's Conor Benn, whether it's Adam obviously, but also Dalton Smith is an interesting one. There's a lot of interesting names, and more will develop. It's like we want to get it done. We're not also like laid back about it. We want to get it done, these fights, but at the same time, we're not in an immediate rush either. So it's unfortunate that this chapter happened a little bit off our watch. I think if we would have tried properly, if it would have been done in a proper manner, I think that fight could have happened now.
The rumour mill and the whispers are sort of gathering pace that there's going to be a big kind of card coming up towards the end of the year. I just wondered if there's any Wasserman Boxing involvement in that, maybe potentially Arthur versus Aziz landing on that type of show.
On what platform? In Sky or?
I believe it might be a DAZN boxing platform show, but
okay. Well, there's obviously the one over in Riyadh. We're working on quite a few different. Lyndon's, first of all, we're in talks on 2 different fights right now, Lyndon and Arthur, so that's going to be interesting. We'd love to make the Dan Aziz fight, but I don't know. They keep changing the dates. They keep saying it's on, it's off, it's this, it's that. It's got to be in this month. It's got to be in 4 weeks' time or 5 weeks' time. I don't know if they really want it. I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Just get your thoughts on next weekend's big main event. I just wanted to ask you, Derek Chisora come out and he said that he thought that I don't like to use the label of quit for a fighter, but he said that with Daniel Dubois, if that's labelled towards him, his wins over Jarrell Miller, his wins over Filip Hrgovic have kind of brushed that label off him, and that won't happen again. Just from your perspective as a promoter, if you had a fighter who had that label on them, have you ever worried about a fighter going into a fight that might happen again? You don't have to name names, but has that ever been a worry for you?
I would name names. You sort of got, on the next interview, I'll have a couple of names for you. No, I'm fine with. First of all, I agree with what Derek says. I said that in a recent interview. I think that Daniel Dubois is one of the most improved heavyweight fighters. I didn't think he was a quitter at the time with the Joyce fight. I just thought it was. I don't know. It was just an anticlimax to the build-up of that fight at the time. It was during COVID and everything. Everyone was very excited to see a real war between the two of them, and it turned out to be quite an easy night's work for Joyce, actually. I think he's gone away and really worked on himself, and I've got to say, he's mentally very, very good. Daniel Dubois, what he's done. I think the win against Filip Hrgovic obviously sort of crowned that, but the Miller win, okay, Miller was at the wrong weight, but still he had to dig deep at moments in that fight, and Miller's a very good fighter. People forget that. Miller's a really good heavyweight, and he dug deep, Daniel, and I think that's the part where he dispelled that. I'll be honest, I think that fighters who, I'm starting to think of one in the back of my head. After that, there are fighters that they quit. There's moments in fights where they just quit. That doesn't mean they're bad boxers. It's just something in them. I don't believe that Daniel's that. And I also don't believe once you're that, you can't change that. That's the way you are. And Daniel was not a quitter in that Joyce fight. I think a lot of people thought that. I probably would have also been at the time. I can't remember exactly what I thought, but I would have, as he got the minerals to do this. For me, the Miller fight, although the performance was better against Hrgovic, the Miller fight, he showed that he ain't no quitter. That's for sure. That was a dig deep moments for him there, and he came through. So I don't believe that. I can't believe any experts actually say, yeah, he was a quitter and now he's not a quitter. What the fuck? I mean, those experts, fucking hell. I don't even know what I'm saying that. It's a ridiculous thing to say. No, he was a quitter once upon a time. He's learned not to quit. No, mate, you're either born a quitter. You can't teach someone not to be a quitter. And again, I've seen some very good fighters. They just, their weakness is they break. Then you've got to be a hell of a fighter that no one can break you because they can't touch you. It's the only way out. So there's no real champions who. It's one of the first minerals you need in boxing, isn't it?
Kalle, appreciate the conversation. Looking forward to this weekend. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut, sir. All the best.